All right, you guys, buckle up because this is going to be such a fun one. We're going to be chatting about how to blow up your Instagram and to really start seeing great results for your business, specifically for conversions, for reaching your people. I'm really going to be walking you through exactly what I am doing right now as someone who has been on Instagram for a very long time. I mean, we're talking like 10 years ago I started for my business. Instagram has changed quite a bit over the years, and Reels has evolved so much. Short form content is so different nowadays, and just like what works, what's captivating, what grows your reach, what grows your conversions. And I'll be totally honest, mid 2024 through now, mid 2025, I have really let Instagram go to the back burner and just kind of coasted on there and haven't seen a ton of new growth, okay? And it's because I was going through chronic illness, being pregnant, postpartum, and now that I'm about a year postpartum, I feel like I'm really back into it. And over the past few months, I've really made it a priority to start really studying, analyzing like what's working on Instagram. And so this isn't the end. Like there's going to be more content to come on this as I keep trying new things, changing. And I feel like short form content every 6 months, it's like it shifts and changes. And so when it comes to like the strategy part of things, definitely going to keep you guys in the loop on like what's working. So if you don't already follow me on Instagram at Stephanie Lynn Case, you can follow along. That's where I'm sharing more like fast real-time updates. But I really wanted to share with you right now what's something that I tested last month compared to the previous month that over doubled my conversions, drastically grew my reach on my account, and really led to so many more email opt-ins, and really kind of take you guys through step by step. I have a 5-step breakdown for you of what are the things that are working right now to grow my reach, grow my conversions specifically, and grow my email list. That's a really big goal right now, especially if you're an online business owner and you plan to do like any sort of promotions in Q3, Q4, especially with like Black Friday coming up. This is a really great time to be nurturing your audience, get in front of your people, and to be getting them on your email list. That's why I've also made this a huge goal right now. And it's really cool to see it already working, and that without posting a lot more, and I haven't had any of my content go mega viral whatsoever. And even with that, I've seen hundreds of people opting in for my ManyChat automation. The number of people in June of 2025 was around 170. In July of 2025, that number shot up to over 450 people. So I over doubled the amount of people that were going through my automations. It was probably way more than that, like the number of times someone commented on things, but just the number of contacts, the number of people that were going through my automations and commenting shot way up. To email list growth for me, people getting into my funnels, people buying my products. And so like going back to that goal of just getting in front of more eyes, the more people that were commenting, the more my reach grew. My stories have drastically increased in reach. Okay, so here's exactly how I did it. Step number 1 is I made my account essentially an embodiment of the things I was going to teach people. What do I mean by this? So a huge shift that I've seen happening on Instagram, no matter, I don't care if you're a creator, a brand, a business owner, like the people who are winning on Instagram right now, their account is them as a personal brand stepping into like, here's who I am, what I embody, and it is literally what they are then like selling in the end. And so this could be like, for example, I follow an account that's all about like mom hacks, right? And she is embodying, showing like, here's how I implement these hacks. Here's how you're going to do it. Now, my account is focused around me, my life as a business owner, working 20 hours a week, making a full-time income times 2 because my husband is at home as well. And what that looks like as a mom, as a wife, as a business owner, like what are the things that I am doing? What are the things that I'm experimenting with? And here's how you can do it too. And Instagram has become so much of like, here's how I do blah, blah, blah. Or here's how like I'm helping this person achieve X. Like you can achieve this and here's how. And it's very much like people can go to ChatGPT nowadays and search for anything, like get information on anything. But what makes you different? What's your process? What are the things you value? What are the things you bring to the table? And how can you show that in your almost like what it feels like day to day, or like what you're sharing? It doesn't mean that you have to show up and share everything about your life. In fact, I feel like it's almost just a shift to like showing the things that make sense for your business and your brand and how you embody that, and that it naturally will lead people to be like, wait, how do you do that? Or wait, like, how can I learn more about this? And so for me, I'm showing people like, hey, I sell digital products, I sell courses, I do YouTube marketing, short form marketing, and all of that leads to this business that I work part-time hours, and my husband's home full time. And so my shift in my focus, my mindset going into my account changed to that. Instead of being like, oh, I'm going to show up, I'm going to be someone who teaches YouTube or someone who teaches email marketing or someone teaches course creation. Instead of being like, that's my niche, right? I went into the mindset embodying and showing and living out what's the outcome of those things and how can I show that as much as possible by the things I'm learning, the wins I'm experiencing, the way I'm doing things, the way I'm helping others doing things. Like, that was the first step. That's the first step you have to do, is think about how can you embody and show that. And you even see like big brands nowadays are doing this. Like, this isn't just small creators or influencers. Like, this is a huge shift on social media that's happening right now where people are shifting to this. So I don't care what your niche is, okay? And if you're unsure, comment below what your niche is. We'll brainstorm together. Basically, this is the biggest first step that I took. And so that changed the way that I approached writing my bio, the content that I am sharing on stories and in my feed, and basically like how I'm showing them the outcome of like what are the things that I ultimately sell and teach in my business and my brand. And to me, it's so funny because I feel like this also comes back to something that I've taught my students for, like, I started teaching with photography in 2018. And this is something that has been such a cornerstone for me and my business, is having that personal brand. Like, it is so important nowadays more than ever, with an abundance of like really bland ChatGPT copy, really generic tips. People don't want to hear 5 steps to achieve this anymore. Like, people are like, here's how you're going to achieve this outcome or this result. And then inside is the 5 steps to doing it, right? So it's just that shift of like, people want to know that it's like your juicy process, your result, your outcome, and like, how can you help them do that? Step number 2 to how I made this happen is I made showing up to sell a non-negotiable 5 days a week in my business. Whether it was both in my feed and my stories, or in my stories or my feed, at least something had to be selling. Now for me, selling really just means having like a really strategic ManyChat call to action where I'm inviting them to download something free, and that's leading them to get onto my email list or to be pitched an offer. And so I made that non-negotiable, had to be at least in my stories or my feed 5 days a week, because I typically work Monday through Friday. And so if I do some on the weekend, great, but at least Monday through Friday, I am doing this. And was I absolutely perfect at this? No, definitely not. There were days that I missed, and I'm going to share later how often I actually posted in this 30-day time period. For me, it was just more of like a challenge to make sure I'm showing up and doing something that is going to move the needle and sell in some way with my short form content. If I actually wanted to see these like bigger, juicier, faster results for my business from Instagram, I needed to take it seriously, okay? And not just post content on the go that sounds fun, that looks great, but like what's actually gonna help convert. And definitely still sprinkling in, like, I posted content that wasn't just selling. It was a well-rounded strategy, I guess is what I'm saying, but making sure it's a non-negotiable that I am selling in some way every single day, okay? And so for me, selling isn't something that's salesy or sleazy or feels like gives you the ick. It's something that is genuinely inviting them into something more with me by giving free value, by answering the questions, getting them onto my email list, pitching them an offer that could literally change so much for them. And so that's how I look at it. And that was something that was a non-negotiable for me every day. And we'll talk more in just a second in step 4 about what the call to action is and how I'm using ManyChat to do that. So hang tight. And also, if you're watching this the week it comes out, the second Easter egg here is big. Step number 3, I made my posts juicier. And what I started realizing is that honestly, and I kind of knew this intuitively, but my content got a lot more boring, okay? Like, it was just too vague. It wasn't specific enough. It wasn't juicy enough. It wasn't like something that was like pulling you in. And again, I kind of just posted on Instagram there for a while, but I kind of realized, like, you know what? If I actually want to see real growth from Instagram, I have to dig in a little bit. I can't just coast anymore. And so I studied for a few months, what are the posts that are not only going viral, but what are the posts that are getting hundreds hundreds of comments for ManyChat automation, specifically other creators and business owners. And I realized that there were two different ways that made posts juicier. Number one is having better hooks. So essentially hooks that really pull you in, and kind of like what I was talking about earlier, people are over the like, here's 3 steps to do this, or here's a tutorial on this. Like they can go to ChatGPT or even YouTube to learn how to do that. But when it comes to short form content, you want to essentially think about your post is almost the entire hook. And then the call to action, when we're thinking about like a sales-minded strategy or sales-minded post, your entire post is the hook, a really juicy hook. Then the ManyChat call to action is like the result, the outcome, the thing they want to know from that hook. And so I started using hooks like these, things like most people don't realize this, but, or I literally do not care if, this might be controversial, but I wish someone had told me this sooner. There's one thing people miss all the time with this, and it's always wild to me when. And so I'm really doing hooks that more align with that. But that's the first step, okay? That's the first step to how I made my post juicier, is I got really a lot juicier with the hooks. Secondly, I just made my topics better and more specific and on things people actually want to know about that feel a little bit more like, oh, like what is she going to say? Or, oh, like what's the result? An example for me would be not just a vague, like, here's how to sell your online course. Okay, people can go search that anywhere or even have ChatGPT write them a whole plan on that, right? But I phrased it as, here's the type of online course that people will actually buy and that will go viral. That is a lot more compelling and juicier and specific of like, I'm helping you with figuring out what type of online course to make that people will actually buy as an outcome people actually want and go viral, aka like they have hundreds of students inside of their course. And so almost like even calling out, what are the things that they want but don't have yet? What are the outcomes that they really want to gain? And how can you craft your content around that? And by doing this too, and doing this type of content, what I've come to realize, it's so cool because it almost like allows you to share your own values through your content. Because the answer to this, like if I was to use that hook, for example, I literally do not care if, that can go so many different directions, even in the same niche. It's like, what do you literally not care about? And it's probably gonna be something that people think they should care about, but you are saying, I literally do not care. And so it gives you the opportunity to call people up into what you believe and for them to see themselves in that and to be like, oh, I align with that. I want to be in your community. Step number 4 now is to use ManyChat for every single call to action, whether it's your story or your feed post. No, this does not mean that every story or every feed post has to have a call to action. I still sprinkle in some that don't. But if we're going for like a conversion minded post here, we're going to make sure that every single one is using ManyChat, okay? It's gonna convert far better than using like a link sticker or telling people to go to your bio. Please don't do that. Please use ManyChat. And even a few months ago, if you had told me that, I would have rolled my eyes and been like, I'm just gonna throw up a link sticker. What's the difference here? It works really well. And I've had specific automations that have gotten upwards of like close to 100 replies on one story, and that's with 20,000 followers. And when you have a really juicy topic, a great hook, you're gonna have people reply for your ManyChat automation. Okay, if they're not replying, then something needs to change there with your messaging and with the content that you're sharing. And I actually have, so the exact way that I'm doing this that led to these types of results, I have a link down in the description for a free template in ManyChat that allows you to collect emails directly within ManyChat and send it to your email service provider. This is the best way. I've had so many more conversions. Like before, I would just send people a direct link to like the opt-in page for my freebie or whatever. And what I found is that like maybe half of the people would click on the link and then less than half of those people would actually opt in. But doing this, I'm having like upwards of 70-80% of the people who comment the original keyword actually give me their email. Way higher rate of people who I'm actually getting onto my email list. So if you're interested in learning more about how I do that, I'll set that up really fast. Go grab that. It's totally free. The free automation template is right down below in the description. So this probably goes without saying, but a lot of my call to actions were freebies. I did do some directly to a product for 1 week because I was launching a new product. But besides that, it was all to like free downloads. And a lot of it too, like even one of my free downloads recently has just been, I literally just DM them 5-6 different DMs with all the information. It doesn't even have to be like a formal Google Doc or anything like that if you don't want it to. to. That's really the main way that I was doing that. For me, I sell mostly digital products, online courses. So getting people onto my email list is like my number one goal. And that's where I'm really then selling them. I'm not really trying to like hard sell on Instagram. This is where I'm still testing, but tried some like follow-up strategies where I do more selling in the DMs. So we'll see where that goes. I'll have to do a follow-up video once I do more testing on that. So in the 30-day period that we're talking about here in July, what led to over 450 people commenting for my automations doing this? I posted 11 feed posts with a ManyChat call to action. So I did more feed posts than that, but not all of them had the ManyChat call to action. And then I posted 7 story slides that had a ManyChat call to action. Some of them did great and some of them flopped, which is totally normal, totally okay. So some of them got a lot of opt-ins, some of them got hardly any, but total that led to over 450 people. Just to give you an idea, here's some of the story slides that did really well for me. So one of them says, I wish someone had told me this sooner, but there's actually a specific type of course that sells really well. No, it's not just making slides in Canva and recording audio over them. I made a new doc where I break down my 5 must-haves for a viral course. My top course has over 1,300 students in it. Reply with breakdown for the free list of what a course needs for people to actually buy. So that's the text on the screen for my story slide. That story ended up getting 2,162 views on an account with 20,000 followers, which is crazy, and 97 story replies. I then did another that was, there's one thing people miss all the time that will make or break a course launch, and it was like a freebie for a free list of things you must do when you launch your course to be successful. Reply with tell me for the link. So that one got, I think, 667 views and only had 13 replies. Just an example of like how it can be up and down. But in the past, like I would be lucky to get 13 link clicks. Okay, so even that like is great. Awesome. I'll take it. Another one that this is a story slide. This is the text that it says. Just checking you're not saying you're not broken or here's the truth or it's not this, it's that in your copy because we all know it's AI. Reply with list to get the list of phrases to avoid so you don't blend in and sound like a robot. So that was the text. Had 1,321 views. This one had 42 replies. A bonus tip here, like some of those stories, like the one that got over 2,000 views, if my goal is for conversions, for people to use my ManyChat automation, I want to get in front of as many people as possible. So typically, some of them I didn't do this, but typically with those, I'm doing one story slide for the day. So just one story with that really juicy hook, topic, call to action, posting one slide, and that really does help to reach a lot more people. If you're wanting to reach your most engaged people, do multiple story slides, make it a little bit more personal. So I like flip-flop back and forth now between those, and they work for different things. And so you can also go to my Instagram. If you go to my highlight called free, you'll see examples of these exact story slides I just listed off and more. So you can also go there to check them out. So step number 5, especially if we're talking about growth for your email list specifically, what worked so incredibly well for growing my business in this way on Instagram is I created new freebies. And these don't have to take you a long time. These took me about like maybe 30 minutes each to set up. So not long. And that includes like the ManyChat automation. And I also pulled out a couple that I hadn't like shared a lot in a while and rotated through those. So I'm not sharing the same freebie over and over and over and over again for an entire month. I'm really rotating through different things. And some of these freebies, like I would come up with the idea as I was creating content and being like, wait a second, this would be such a great call to action for a freebie. And then I would just go create it in like 30 minutes. I really mixed it up to reach more people because even the people who had already downloaded stuff from me before, they're replying to get the new freebie. And then that helps boost your reach and get in front of new people for your reels and your stories and for them to see it and download it and get new people onto your email list as well. So really mixing that up, change the game is something that I really tend to do more of moving forward, and making sure your freebies like align with your niche, your audience, who you're trying to reach is the right people getting onto your email list. And ideally, they're also triggering email funnels for your products, whether it's like a tripwire or an email funnel or webinar funnel or whatever it is that works for you, your business. Like you're also ideally immediately pitching them some sort of paid offer that's going to turn into direct sales for you. But again, these freebies don't have to be super complicated. Most of them are just like a Google Doc that's like 5 pages long of like a brain dump of my thoughts on the topic or like a step-by-step breakdown or some sort of like insight into the behind the scenes of my business, how I'm doing something. And so it's not even a freebie that takes you hours and hours and hours to make. As long as it's like valuable for your audience, I don't think it has to be super complicated. And if it allows you to take action faster, I'm like, oh, that would be a great idea for you to just brain dump it, create a Google Doc and send that out. Or even like, it's just like a series of DMs that go out via ManyChat. Like I didn't even create a Google Doc or anything. And so it's been really cool to see too, like when I notice a freebie really resonate on Instagram, then I take it and turn it into a more like official freebie with like an opt-in page and stuff. But yeah, it's just been so cool to create some new things for my audience, get people excited, make them even juicier where people want to reply. And that gives me too, like going into the next month, I can rotate back through those like 6 different freebies that I shared and do different hooks and different call to actions and see what are some ways I can move people into even more of them that they might not have done before. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you didn't watch my other new YouTube video this week about how you can truly run a 6-figure business in 20 hours a week and exactly how to do that, it's a really great place to get a really like all-encompassing view of how to get started with the type of business model that I love teaching. And so if you want to watch that, put it on the screen here. I'll see you guys again next week on Tuesday at 8 a.m. when we drop new videos, new episodes every single week on the YouTube channel, and on the podcast is where you can either tune in or watch new videos that drop every single week. And I'll see you guys again next week. Bye guys.